What's up, guys? Welcome back. We are digging into yet another XR200 motor here. This one doesn't belong to me though. It's actually belongs to a good friend of mine that picked this up. It's out of a 95 XR200, and he bought it dirt cheap earlier in 2024, I think, for I think 300 bucks, just to have a 200 to kind of beat around on. And he knew it was blown up, and we figured we can probably revive it. Sounds like it was just starved of oil, so hopefully it's just top end damage, and there's some options that we might take with some aftermarket fixes for the head and the cam. But we're going to look at all that and see what's going on. We're just going to assess the damage for right now, and I'll let him decide how he wants to proceed. But this is kind of in repayment of him painting and sandblasting my frame out of my 87 XR200 that I got back. It was like my childhood bike. So he's doing a lot of awesome work for me, so this is the least I could do to repay him. Put this back together, rebuild it. But you can see there's some parts missing. We're missing a cam, the CDI. I think my friend has all that stuff. He kind of started digging into it a little bit, and he's a busy guy, so I figured I'd take it off his hands and see what I could do for him. First thing I'm noticing here is the excessive amount of orange RTV around the cap here, the cover. And my guess is that probably got into the oil passage. It sits right behind this area here. There's a oil passage that lubes up the cam, and that can be easily blocked if there's too much here, and it just kind of, when you squish it down, it moves over and blocks that passage. So that's one possibility. There's also oil passages that go up the cylinder. Down below here, we're going to get the side cover off too and look at all that. But there's an oil passage that goes through the oil filter, pushes itself up through the head cylinder and then the head. So we'll get a look at that, see if that's clogged up. But that's going to be my guess. So you can see also there's a lot of nice tape job. This looks like duct tape over the stator wires. Yeah, not the most well taken care of engine that I could see. So we're going to find out what's going on with it though, but that's going to be my guess. All right, we're going to start with the obvious here. We got no nuts or bolts on here holding this on, so I'm just going to get the cap out of the way. We'll get the auto decompression cable out first. Yeah, there's some major scoring going on the cam journal here. I'll show you here. It's pretty bad. It's shot. It's all grooved up. You can see there's like it actually ate into the aluminum here, or magnesium, whatever this is, and ate in pretty good there. So that's shot. And I noticed here too that there's a plug that's supposed to go here that will force oil. Let's see if I can get a better shot here. So there's a plug here on this top part, because I guess this is where they drilled into it to machine it, that will block this up, so oil is forced out through that passage onto the cam. There's like a little ring that sits here that the cam slides into, and that is supposed to provide oil to that. So if that's out of there, that may have just been spurting up here, not going anywhere. Because even though this is flat and sealed off here, it could still seep around that. So that could be a possibility. It could also just be some junk inside the engine that blocked that oil passage up that comes up this side of the stud here. So we're gonna find out. We're gonna keep digging. But this is shot. You have to get a new head, or there's an option. He was telling me that you can actually, I guess there's a cam that somebody offers, third party, that has a roller bearing or something that sits right in here. But so I've never actually seen that, but it sounds interesting. If you can reuse a messed up head, that'd be nice. Moving along, you can kind of see on the cover here, that right there is where that opening sits on where I was showing it was drilled in. So you can see that kind of like almost excess amount got in there. Probably wasn't sealing it up completely. Rockers have seen better days too. They're pretty much ruined. All right, there's a 10 millimeter here on the side that we're going to take off next. It's a long-winded one. And I got to get the cam chain tensioner bolt out of the way right here. I think that's also a 10. Just needed a bigger wrench. Now this should just pop off of here. What I can tell so far, the cylinder looks okay. A little black in there. Everything's obviously got pretty hot when it was running low on oil up top. But I'm not seeing any major scoring yet or anything. Piston looks okay from the top at least. We're gonna keep digging and see what we can find. I also noticed here too, looks like there's supposed to be a O-ring right here. I think that's the spot there. I don't see any O-ring right around where this dowel sits. Let's see, yeah, I think that would have been on that side. Unless they did away with that O-ring later on, I don't know. But I think there's supposed to be one right around this dowel. I could be wrong though. I can't turn the engine over just yet because the cam chain fell down through here. I guess when he was taking it apart, and it's kind of bound up in there, so you can't, when you kick it, it doesn't want to move. I'm not going to force it until I can get this all off, and then I'll remove the side cover here and this flywheel and stuff. It doesn't look too bad. I'll get some measurements on there, see how far, if we're out of spec too far, or if we can get away with just doing rings on this maybe. That'd be nice. Old base gasket. Okay, rings are all intact, it looks like. All right, I'm gonna get this spun around, get that stator cover off, and get the flywheel out of the way. Looking closer at this, looks like something either kissed the top of that. I don't think it's a valve, or if that's just the poor machining on the piston, I can't tell. But anyways, looks like it might be 0.75 over. Let me get this to focus. 0.75. So that might be this might be bored out already. So if you don't have a flywheel puller that'll fit this, on an XR200 you can use the rear axle, which is what I have here. It'll fit these threads. I just make sure the threads are, clean and greased up, and it'll slip right into there. There's the chain all bound up. Excess orange RTV laying in there. That lower cam gear looks really good. Either that was replaced recently or this one had a well-maintained chain all of its life. Usually those are kind of rounded off a little bit around the edges, but that looks really good. Get this piston out of the way here next. Yeah, it went on the ground, thankfully. Check this rod bearing here. So we got a little side to side, which is okay. And I got no up and down. Perfect. Feels good. Going to continue on with the disassembly. We're going to worry about the piston and cylinder and all that stuff when we're ready to put it back together. We're going to, get down to the bare bones, assess what we got on the inside, and then we'll worry about, what size stuff we'll need down the road. But this is just the disassembly video, so kind of skipped ahead on the piston and cylinder a little bit quick there. Cam chain tensioner stuff out of the way. Spacers are out. Counter shaft looks to be in good shape. All right, I guess it's time to flip this around. We'll start working on the clutch side. Still got my stencil for my side cover here on an XR200, so just throw all these bolts right in there. It's starting to come off. So check this out. First thing I notice, that oil passage right there is blocked up. Looks like that orange RTV that was smeared all over the top. See if I can get a closer look at that. Look at that, it's jammed in there. But that is one of the passages. That's probably what happened, is it got clogged up there. Couldn't get up top, or yeah, that's definitely jammed up. not horribly sludgy in there. I thought for sure we'd get a lot more, but yeah, it's just Kind of dirty oil, not really thick sludge like I thought. Get a little piece of plastic here and tap on this. There it comes. Ooh, yeah, we got some sludge in there. It seems like mostly clutch material. Little metal flake in there too, of course. Let's get this out of the way next. Let's get this lock nut out of the way next. Okay. Yep, that was in there the right way. It's not as bad as I thought it would be. Still needs clean though. Work on this clutch here next. Plates don't look too bad actually. This washer right here. Okay. Drive gear out of the way. And the oil pump next. Don't want to lose that. Okay, now I think we're ready to take the case bolts out and start to try to split this thing. Start with this one right here. It's the only one on this side that needs to come out. First glance, the bearings feel okay. Not seeing a whole lot of sludge in there or anything. That's good. Let's get a closer look at the other half. Piece of metal here. That can't be good. Looks like it's part of the casing somewhere. See if I could figure out where that came off of. That pattern almost looks like piston. I'm not seeing that pattern anywhere else on the case. I would think maybe something around the Kickstarter maybe would have broken off, but I don't see anything broken on this side of the case here. It really looks like a piston. I'm wondering if that's what happened to this bike originally. If the piston blew up, and it was just laying at the bottom of the case the whole time. It was never open. This is obviously the original seal for the case. So I know this has never been opened up before, because I'm not seeing anywhere else on here where there's broken bits on the case itself. All right, might as well yank the transmission out of here next and see if we could see if we got any broken bits in there. It did shift through all the gears though whenever I had it on the bench before I tore it apart. I kind of turned the sprocket and worked the shifter, and it seemed like it went through all the gears okay, so I think we're okay there. But kind of wanted to get a look behind there to see if any, just to make sure it's not part of the case it's broke behind there. Gotta get this shifter shaft out of the way first. Drum out of here. Looks okay to me. Counter shaft's being a little stubborn. Okay, there's the main shaft. Man, that one fought me. That washer out of there. Okay, now we can get a closer look. So I don't see any broken bits of case in here, any chips or spots where that could have came off of, so I'm really thinking that was probably a piston from before. Probably blew up. They put that aftermarket piston in there at 75 over, 0.75 millimeters over. Doing some measurements on that piston though, it is not actually 7.75 over from a stock piston, so I'm thinking it might be a Chinese piston, and the measurement's just not accurate. But everything on here looks pretty good. I'm gonna get a look at the other side of the case. We're gonna take a closer look at the oil pump passages and make sure no metal bits are in there too. You gotta take a look at this here. There's bits of it in the oil pump passage here. It's a good thing I looked. So those little bits are kind of floating around right there. I'm gonna try to get a piece of wire and pull those out right there in case you're wondering what I'm looking at here. So we're gonna try to get those out with some wire. I'm trying to run wire up from behind here. See if I can push it out. Might have to get some compressed air and just try to blow it out of there. They're floating around, but they're wedged in there too. So they're not just gonna fall out, I don't think. I don't know how the heck they got in there. All right, luckily I was able to get all the bits out of there with a piece of wire. Kind of just ran it up through the passage there and jiggled it around until they came out. And here's what we got. The smaller bits are what came out of it. The big chunk is actually what was laying on the bottom of the case when I opened it up. And it really does look like pieces of a piston to me, just because it's got that pattern on there. And I couldn't find any broken bits on the case on either side. I looked pretty close at all that, looked at the transmission, nothing, I thought maybe one of the shift forks broke, but that's not that kind of metal. That's actually steel there, whereas it's not magnetic. So I'm almost positive that these are parts of a piston that blew up in there and just kind of got left in there and sucked into the oil pump. So we're gonna go through, clean all this up. The bearings, I did check those. They felt really good. Put some oil on there, and after cleaning everything out, they all feel really good on both sides. We're gonna go through and clean up the oil passages, make sure we can blow air through that, and I'm gonna run probably brake clean or something through there just to make sure we got flow. And I gotta check the passage on the clutch cover too, which is the original one I showed you that had the orange RTV that was jammed up in there too. So this poor bike had all kind of stuff going on with it that starved it for oil, and at one point had a blown up piston, because I don't think that was obviously the piston was whole when I took it out, so that happened before it must have seized up with oil. So we'll get it straightened out, but yeah, that's what it was. Multitude of issues going on with it. All right, there you have it, guys. That was an easy one to diagnose with the oil ports all plugged up. That's a surefire way to destroy a motor, along with bits of metal that we have here that would have probably eventually caused issues even further if we just would have left that alone. So it's a good thing we tore it all the way down, found that in the oil pump, to prevent something even worse happening down the road after we replace the top end. So my buddy is actually going all out with making sure this thing is reliable afterwards. So he's ordering a completely new head. This is trashed, obviously. It's a head actually from the UK that a guy makes. So I just brought it up here on my phone so you can get a look at what he got. Looks like it comes with a new cam. You can kind of see the roller bearing on the cam that I was telling you about, which is pretty interesting. So it should have less resistance. It should kind of rev quicker, I would think. And let's see what else we got here with it. I think it mentions the bigger valves. So it should be pretty cool to see how it helps the engine breathe a little better. Yeah, it gives more power, more smoother power on top and bottom, the mid-range. Double progressive valve springs to stop valve bounce with revving hard on the top end. Yeah, so this is gonna be interesting. I might have to do this on one of my bikes too. So I'm kind of anxious to get this thing installed. I'll include the link to this eBay ad. I don't know if they have a website, but Yeah, this is kind of cool. I'll include the link in the description if you're interested in looking at it. So that should be pretty interesting. That's coming shipped to me eventually, and he's getting that. He got a new cylinder, a used cylinder, but it's actually stock bore, the 6550 millimeters, along with a OEM piston and rings. So he's gonna have to do rings too, but nice, reliable stock bore with Honda parts, which should be good. This is gonna be, you know, replaced too. That the head that he's got comes with a new cap as well. So he's getting a new cam chain, tensioners, his new clutch for it. So he's pretty much going all out with making sure this thing's going to be a nice runner afterwards. So I'm interested to see how that new head's going to be. I might even do the same thing on one of my XRs. I have an 86 that I'm probably going to do a top end, and I'm also my 87 that I'm putting back together slowly. Might have to do a top end in that too. So that might be an option down the road. I don't know if anybody watching has ever used those. Yeah, look for that. Look for the assembly video down the road. I'm not sure when I'm going to get all the parts and when I'll have time to put it all back together, but I'm still kind of snowed in here, so I can't get my next bike project into the garage just because I got to move my Roadrunner out of the garage when there's snow everywhere, and I'm on a hill, so I really can't put that outside while it's snowing. So watch for the next video on the next bike and also on this. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and likes, leave me comments, all that good stuff. It all helps the channel grow. So thanks guys, we'll see you in the next video.